together with some friends. So no, absolutely, I'm always happy to. Sometimes, occasionally, I need to adjust the timing, but that's all right, isn't it? We work around it, don't we?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Let's go. Good afternoon. I was going to say good morning, but I thought I don't know. Anyway, it's nice here in Devon. It's the sun is out, and I'm just looking at my window now. If you notice, I've changed positions, and I'm by my window because I like looking out of the window and everything. And so there you go. And anyway, so today, how does your past affect you with with the lovely Susan Lee? Susan, um, we all got a past in life, right? We all have a past, and sometimes it does affect us because if I've got a not a shady past, but I've got a what can I say? I've got a past behind me that I haven't done nothing wrong. I've never been to prison. I've never done anything. But the trouble is, I've done some things in my life that I'm ashamed of, and we all are. And the trouble is, sometimes it's not me, but it might be others thinking, "Oh well, no thanks," and all that lot, and and it could affect you, could it? The past could affect you and others.
Absolutely. And I think it's not just about good or bad things. The truth is, if somebody has been raised in a perfect environment, loving mum and dad, great at school, lots of friends, very popular, passed all their exams, got a job, fell in love with the first person they went out on a date with or whatever, and that all went beautifully well, that past also has its impact, because people who were raised like that, you and I might look at them and think enviously about how wonderful that's been for them. But truth is, they don't build any antibodies to protect against negativity. So it's important sometimes that we've been toughened up a little bit, and we know to be a little bit resilient, or to be able to bounce back, or to be able to
Yeah,
cope
yeah,
if not everybody likes us, or to cope if sometimes we get rejected or we fall down. We can cope with that. Just like if we've had measles or a cold or whatever as a kiddie, we build those antibodies, we protect against infection. But equally, having some knocks in life, whilst we might not want it at the time, they're incredibly important as a way to build our character, our personality, to toughen us up a little bit, to prepare us for the world at large. So you're absolutely right. Negative things can cloud us and cloud how other people interact with us, but equally good things also have their part to play.
yeah, yeah. Now, I don't like bringing this up, but um, when I come on here, I always like to be honest with everybody. And the trouble is, the worst thing I ever done in my life is the Channel 5 documentary. And that's the worst thing I ever done. I was ill and I was not very well. About a month before that, I lost my job because I had a stroke in the car park. And I wanted to get help. I was desperate for help, and I got the help that I wanted. And even though I had to pay for it, um, but the trouble is, it does. The past can sometimes can affect you, can it? Really, really bad.
Sure. I think that the point with the past is it does condition us. I like using little examples. I like using little stories, as you know. And I will say to people, sometimes clients, that if you had a house, a beautiful house right now, that was wonderful, it was full of, I don't know, gold and all paintings and fab fabulous fabrics and colours and, perfect in every way, but it was built on sand, it would only take 2 or 3 rainstorms and the whole lot could come tumbling down. And so it is with us that if we have a fantastic, we've recovered, we've done well, we have a fantastic life today. But if we have perhaps examples of bullying or abuse or bad treatment or negative traumas and different things that have happened to us that have impacted on us quite significantly, we will potentially be affected and influenced by those things. So yes, yes, things happen to us along the way. So for example, your story with illness and then doing a documentary and losing your job and all those things, but behind all of that, for a lot of people, there may well have been a childhood that was very disrupted, a a set of circumstances where perhaps they were bullied for being different, or they felt insecure because they didn't know who they were, or they were struggling with their sexuality, or whatever it might be. It can be an awful lot of stuff going on there, and the way we cope with that, come through that, deal with that, can have a significant bearing on what we expect for ourselves as we get to our teens or later life. We might go here, we might not have had any good examples of relationships or respect or the role of women in life or the role of men or whatever. And we may have certain conditionings, if you like, that have come through from that we still have and don't even perhaps even realize that we have. That's why, we talk about endemic racism or sexism or whatever it might be. A lot of people don't even realize what they are conditioned to think or feel or expect. It's not necessarily a malicious thing or a difficult thing, but it can be that they don't even understand what's going on with themselves. So, but in ordinary life, how we feel about the things that we are doing, the things that we expect for ourselves, that's where the things that have happened in your childhood, the things that you witnessed as a child, the way you saw the neighbours behave with each other, the way your parents treated other kids, or other kids' parents treated them, or you, or whatever. It can be all sorts of things that we pick up gradually by osmosis that we don't even realise we're absorbing. We don't even realise we're learning all the time as we go along. Somebody shouts at the bus driver, or somebody cajoles a girl on the bus, or somebody who is disabled perhaps, and all these things we witness. Even if we're not directly involved, we witness and we learn from those things, and we either react and say that's not acceptable, or we don't say anything and just kind of gradually become inured to it and don't perhaps even notice it particularly.
Yeah, yeah. So sometimes it could, it's like if you've got a past behind you, some people can't forgive. It's sometimes difficult to forgive people, isn't it? If you've got a
Sure.
past behind you.
Sure. And I believe there's two types of past. To be simplistic, we've got the restorative memories. The restorative memories of where something happened, there were consequences, and we learned from that. So we did something bad, we treated somebody badly, we were rude, something happened to us, or we did something to them, and we feel bad about it afterwards. It might be because there were consequences, or it might be that we just had time to reflect and thought, I don't like that about myself. I don't like what I've become. I don't like the way I behaved. So a restorative experience, a restorative memory is one where we learn from that and learn to change and learn to adapt and move on. Maybe we have therapy. Maybe we just have a defining moment where we come to our senses and decide to change, or whatever it might be. But then we've got the regressive memories, and the regressive memories are the ones that just keep taking us back. So every time I'm in that situation, I lash out. Every time I'm in that situation, I get angry. I can't help myself. I don't know why I do it, but I say things. I behave in a way. I don't like it, but it keeps taking me back. I can't seem to change that. So they're the ones that are damaging, that just keep us held in that place where we don't move on. And like you say, perhaps don't forgive.
Mm-hmm. So how can somebody who is kind of like really, really stuck in the past, say, learn how to forgive?
Well, I guess they have to want to. They have to feel for they have to come to an awakening, if you like, that this isn't serving me well. So if some people are just happily in inverted commas trundling along and saying, I'm never going to speak to them again, I'm never going to forgive them again, then that might be okay for them. And they may say, that's fine, I don't want to forgive, I don't want to be involved with them anymore. And sometimes we have to come to an appreciation in our lives that a relationship, perhaps a situation, perhaps has come to an end and it isn't serving us well anymore. So moving on from that might look like we're not forgiving, but it might actually just be a sense that that situation, that relationship, that set of circumstances has come to an end and it's not serving me well anymore. It's not challenging me. It's not supporting me. It's not adding value to my life. We come to an awakening and we move on. But if we are in a situation where we feel that, I don't know, I'm going to have to meet these people, or I'm going to have to continue in this situation, we might not actually want to forgive, but we need to move on. And
Right.
sometimes it's being clear what we're forgiving for. So, for example, if I am very firm and assertive with somebody, I might be sorry afterwards, or they might want to be sorry afterwards about how it happened or what was said, but those things actually needed to be said, that we're just sorry the way it ended, or we're sorry the way the outcome went. So
Mm.
sometimes breaking something down into what it is that you're sorry for. So I don't know, I might say, no, I'm not coming to somebody, to your party or whatever, and they may be dead hurt and it might cause a rift in the relationship. But actually, I potentially could have said it differently, and we could have had a better conversation to discover what was going on. So
Mm.
sometimes things happen and there is a backlash, an outcome that we didn't bargain for, but on reflection, we can be sorry for what happened, but we're perhaps not sorry for what we said. It needed to be
Mm.
said, it needed to be done, it needed to be gone through, but perhaps could have been done in a different way. And that's where sorry can happen too.
Yeah, yeah. We all got a past. We all got a past. And the trouble is, getting back to that documentary, when I did that documentary, and when I went to boot camp, came back, we were splattered in the papers and stuff like that. But um, the trouble is, when we came back and everybody, when it all calmed down, people kept, there was a lot of haters, but then all of a sudden it changed. People kept on coming towards us. Things changed about us. Things kind of like it wasn't kind of what it's supposed to been, and people said sorry and things like that. But sometimes when you're affected by the past, even a sorry is not enough, is it?
That's very true, because I think a sorry has to have roots in being genuine.
Yeah.
So that, you maybe after that experience, even when people said they were sorry, thought, you've not changed. You're just embarrassed, or you're
Mm.
just guilty, or you're just aware that other people don't like you because of how you've behaved. So I think a sorry to be heard has to be felt to be genuine. Somebody has to appear that they really care, that they've learned from it, that they're wanting to behave better. If we don't see any evidence of that, it can be difficult to accept a sorry.
Mm.
So I think for us, we have to perhaps say, you know what, it what they think, what they've said, how they've behaved. I understand them now. I've seen them the true colours. I know what they're really like. Actually, okay, they've done me a favour behaving that way, and I've
Mm.
learned who my friends are. And that's often the case when we go through a bad experience. We appreciate, it might have been tough and difficult and heartbreaking, but we appreciate it for the lessons that we've learned from that. And so we do learn who our true friends are. We do learn how we can bounce back and be perhaps more resilient, toughened, learn a lot about ourselves, learn a lot about other people. We grow through the tough experiences. So sometimes those things, with hindsight, actually end up having done us a favour, and that can be an important lesson learned from those things. So
Yeah.
it's a question of the good things that happen in life. Great, we toot along, it's lovely, sunny day, we're out with friends, things are nice, but it's a tough times that are interludes for growth, are the interludes for strength, for
Mm,
finding out about ourselves, for evolving, for moving on, for moving forward, for reevaluating what we have in our lives. And they're kind of they're the benchmarks along the way, really.
yeah. I think it's tough times, and that sometimes we can kind of like go through all these tough times, but when we come out of it, we can learn from it, and we can gradually move on.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
know, I remember when I first talked to you, I was talking about you the other day to somebody because you've been for this short time I've known you, you've been a really influence on my life. Where the things that you said, we've actually kind of like, someone said to me the other day, it's like somebody piece of clay, and you're just a little dump on the clay. They said to me the other day, right? And you've been kind of like you're taking. I don't know who you're talking to or what you're doing, but you're actually making sense of your life. You're doing something about your life. And I says, well, I put it down to one person at the moment for that. Because every time I talk to you, I always learn something. And I think if we just sit down for about a few minutes every day and listen to people instead of judging people,
Mm.
right? I think we're going to have a better world.
I agree. And just having time to sit and listen and think about things is important in itself. And there may be things that people say, including myself, that you may not understand or agree with or think are right or whatever it might be, but nonetheless thinking about challenging, checking it out for yourself, that these are all important things that we should do with things, having conversations and we going, not sure about that, or tell me more, or is that true, or where did he get that from? Those are times when we're thinking, we're questioning, we're challenging, we're checking if it's right for us. It might be right
Mm,
for somebody else, but it might not be right for us. And those are the moments where we evolve, we grow, we strengthen, we challenge our thinking, which is important to do. And sometimes the things that we thought a bit back, we perhaps maybe don't think the same way anymore. And it is about evolving. You tell children, don't speak to strangers. It's a silly example, but you don't want your kids speaking to strangers necessarily. But you can't do that as an adult. If you did that as an adult, you'd never go in a shop, you'd never buy something, you'd never talk to a different doctor, you'd never make a new friend. But as we get older, we learn to be wary or circumspect or trust our
mm,
instinct or check things out or not give everything away on a first occasion. So
mm.
so we tailor our way of progressing as to where we are in our lives and what's actually going on and what we've learned over the years. And that's how we evolve and grow and strengthen and become a better person in many ways.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, I see the trouble is because I've got like well, they said to me that I've got a personality disorder. Okay, 1 minute I'm all right, next minute I'm not. But the trouble is, though, what we ever do in life is it's afterwards when people look at our own actions. People will look at our actions and they will think, right, okay, because people, that's what people do, they judge you by your actions, the way you are, the way how you conduct your life, and kind of like, how you live your life, basically, don't they?
Sure. But again, I suppose the lesson from that is that how much does other people's judgment influence my choices? So again, it's taking the time to perhaps appreciate that other people have a completely different set of circumstances. What motivates me may not motivate another person. Some people may be, use a simple example. Some people might be motivated by money. Other people, for them, money doesn't really matter that much, but they would care if they couldn't afford to buy food or clothes.
Yeah,
So it's we tailor what we are motivated by to how it suits us. Some people have reactions to other people's lifestyles that I mean, I have clients whose lifestyles would not suit me, but they suit them and they're working very well. And again, that phrase, who am I to judge? If
Yeah.
something's working okay and it's not upsetting or illegal or damaging somebody else, then, rein it in a bit and allow them to live their lives and appreciate the diversity and the variety of different ways that we can be that all add enrichment to what each other's lives. So it is, I suppose, in a sense, we've got to manage ourselves and not be too quick to judge others, but also appreciate that if we are being judged, how much does that matter? If somebody else is judging me for things that I've said or done, does that bother me unduly? Or do I just think, okay, leave them to it? I understand them better now. They're not going to impact too much on my life. I'm going to allow them to, I call it recategorizing how we feel about people. I may still have to have somebody in my life who is like that, but I kind of wrap them in cotton wool a bit or put them in a safety box or a safe or something, and their judgments can't impact on me too much or upset me too much. I think, okay, I've redefined that relationship, and yes, we still have to meet. It might be a family member, it might be whoever, and I will avoid contentious topics of conversation, or I'll just keep it polite and smooth or whatever it is. But
Mm.
they're not going to get so close to me in future, and that's okay. They may not, the other person might not even suspect that, but we know that we're protecting ourselves by being a bit cautious about how far in we let people and their judgments on us.
Yeah. I think the trouble is, though, I think you're what you're saying. You're right. The trouble is, you know, we kind of like got to stand back and say, you know, whatever, everybody is different. We're all different in life. We're all kind of like come from all walks of life. Now, a long time ago, I had a problem with, I used to call them posh people, right? So I used to go into a restaurant or something. I used to sit down and they used to speak posh or, things like that. And I was thinking, and I used to take a mick. I used to say, oh, la di da, things like that. But, you might think it's funny, but I was laughing about it. I was doing things, but I was saying at the end of the day, these are people. Why should I take a mick at these people? Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely, I do, because it, we see other people and we might think we can make judgments on them. Look at all the money that they've got. Look how they're throwing their cash around or the way they're behaving or something. And we may not realize that they have spent months, years, whatever, doing without to be in the position that they're in, or they
Yeah,
may have
totally.
very ill members of their family and they're just having lavish times now and enjoying what they have. So we can jump to very quick conclusions about other people and the way they behave, but it is about stepping back and actually not necessarily finding out any more information because it's none of our business, perhaps, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
also appreciating that what is going on in somebody else's life. One thing I've learned doing the job that I do as a therapist is that everybody, you're absolutely right, everybody has a story. And I've had extremely wealthy people. I've had people off TV. I've had actors, sports people, premier footballers sat on my couch and fantastic cars outside, fantastic lifestyles, fantastic addresses, but they're still struggling with some element of their life. And it's kind of like not realizing that we're not seeing the full story when we're seeing a posh person in a restaurant talking all posh.
Mm,
That we're not seeing the full story. We're not knowing what's behind all of that. Yes, they may talk that way, they may look that way, they may spend a lot of money on things that we think are ridiculous, but at the end of the day, what's going on in their lives is bespoke to them and is their own story, and there will be stuff in there that they're probably struggling with at some point.
mm. Thank you, Susan. Thank you. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Listen, guys, we all have a past in life, and every one of us has got a past, and we're all different. We could, you know, I just think we need to kind of like have a peaceful life, every one of us, and stop kind of like judging each other. And if people's got money, yes, they've worked for it, and well done for them. and other people, well, we're all different, and we've got to start kind of like living together and stop judging each other, and also just to love one another. I went to a concert once, and and there was um, what's his name, Lansbury. Charlie Lansbury said, "You'd be lucky to have 5 friends in this world. 5 friends." That's what he said. And he said, count. He said to me, "Put your hands up and count how many friends, true friends, that will be there for you." And at the end of the day, it's life. We all need friends. We all need people. And if we keep judging people and keep kind of telling, kind of like doing things that are not right to people, where we'll lose people. Really, through all this, you know, all the sickness going on and everything that's going on at the moment, this we need to come together, and we need to do it in love. So whatever you do today, if you go out, smile at somebody, but most of all, take care of yourselves. Susan, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. There you go, guys. I'll speak back later on.